Welcome to Smart Wealth with Joshua.
Your daily stock analysis and catalysts talk. Today we're looking at Lightwave logic.
If you find our talks useful, please consider subscribe, like, and comment underneath because, it really helps the channel. Also, before we jump in, check out the special 14-day trial link below in the description for StockOracle.
Right, StockOracle is an AI-aided stock research platform. But we have to remind you, this is not financial advice. It's not a trading signal service, and it does not provide real-time market data.
Yeah, exactly. And just full disclosure, that is an affiliate link, which means the channel may earn a commission at no extra cost to you. Also, please remember that StockOracle's AI insights and valuation estimates, well, they can sometimes be incomplete or just wrong.
Right. You always need to verify important facts yourself.
Absolutely. So let's get into today's analysis. Imagine, if you will, walking down the street and spotting this stunning, futuristic restaurant.
Oh, I like this analogy.
Yeah, so the architecture is breathtaking. There's a literal line of eager investors wrapping around the block. The valuation of this single building is just astronomical.
But then you walk inside, right?
Right. You finally walk inside, ready to see the magic, and you realize they barely sell enough appetizers in 6 months to cover the cost of like a mid-range luxury car.
It is the ultimate disconnect between the dream of tomorrow and the reality of today. I mean, you have a market cap pricing in global dominance paired with an income statement that looks like a successful neighborhood bake sale.
That paradox is exactly what we're breaking down today for Lightwave logic, trading under the ticker LWLG.
Our mission is to really unpack this massive chasm between their sky-high expectations and their actual fundamentals.
Yeah, we're going to cover the wealth-building context, their fundamental financials, upcoming catalysts, technicals, and the major risks to see what investors are really betting on here.
Because to justify these numbers, they must be building something totally revolutionary.
Right.
Exactly. The wealth-building context here is entirely about the underlying technology, which is electro-optic polymer materials. It's basically a massive play on the AI boom.
Right, the whole picks and shovels of the AI gold rush.
Exactly. To understand the financials, you have to understand the physical bottleneck they are trying to solve. I mean, the entire modern internet, artificial intelligence, cloud computing, it all relies on transmitting data at light speed through fiber optic cables.
So the internet is basically just pulses of light zipping through glass tubes across the ocean floor.
Right, but computers themselves, they don't speak in light. Servers and microchips speak in electricity. So every time a server wants to send data out, it has to translate that electrical signal into a light signal.
Okay, and how does it do that?
It uses a physical component called a modulator. You can think of it like an incredibly fast shutter on a camera, just blinking the light on and off billions of times a second to encode data.
So Lightwave logic makes these shutters.
Well, no, they make the material for the next generation of them. Historically, these modulators have been made out of silicon or indium phosphide. But as AI demands exponentially more data, those traditional materials they're hitting a physical wall.
Because they get too hot, right?
Yeah, they require way too much power, they generate too much heat, and they literally just can't blink fast enough without melting the hardware. So Lightwave logic is developing proprietary polymers.
Which are essentially high-tech plastics.
Yeah, high-tech plastics engineered at the molecular level. They change their optical properties instantly when you apply a voltage. So they can modulate light significantly faster using a fraction of the electricity while generating far less heat.
Okay, that completely clarifies the height for me. I mean, if you own the patented material that allows the global AI infrastructure to run faster without burning down the data centers, you are sitting on a gold mine.
That is the narrative, definitely.
Yeah.
But when we transition from that wealth-building context into the actual fundamentals, the numbers paint a really contradictory picture.
Yeah, let's talk about those fundamentals. The revenue for the first half of 2026. Given all that technological promise, you'd probably expect massive multi-million-dollar contracts, right?
You would. But instead, the revenue for the first 6 months of 2026 sits at a minuscule $61,918.
Wow. Barely 62 grand?
Yeah. Now, technically, that's an increase. In the first half of 2025, they brought in $48,522. So a bullish investor could point to the trailing 12-month revenue and say, hey, growth is at a staggering 175.9%.
I mean, I have to call a timeout on that metric. If someone hands you a pitch deck showing 175% growth, you assume they're capturing massive market share.
Right, it sounds incredible on paper.
But when your starting base is under $50,000, A single tiny order completely skews the percentage. It's just highly misleading.
It's the law of small numbers in action. Selling 2 test kits instead of 1 is 100% growth, but it doesn't mean you have a viable commercial business yet.
No, not at all.
What reveals far more about their operational reality is the margin structure. They boast a gross margin of 97.13%.
Okay, that number is almost unheard of in physical manufacturing. That implies almost pure profit on whatever tiny amounts of this polymer they're actually selling.
Well, the underlying raw materials for polymers are notoriously cheap to synthesize once the chemical recipe is locked in. So the cost of goods sold is negligible.
But there's a catch, right?
A huge one. You have to contrast that beautiful 97% gross margin with their net margin, which is a staggering negative 8,724.83%.
Negative 8,000%. I mean, those numbers almost don't compute in standard financial analysis. How does a company even operate with that kind of gap between making the product and running the business?
It just means the overhead of maintaining world-class research facilities, paying top-tier optical engineers, and, navigating the patent process. All of that completely dwarfs that tiny $61,000 trickle of test kit revenue.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And the net loss is actively widening. It hit $4 million in just the first half of 2026.
Let's put that in perspective for the listeners. Their operating cash burn in the first half of 2025 was about $7.26 million. In the first half of 2026, it jumped to almost $9.88 million.
Just burning through cash.
Yeah, just the second quarter of 2026 alone saw a net loss of $6.6 million. They are literally burning millions of dollars a quarter to generate the revenue equivalent of like a mid-level manager's salary.
Which is exactly why the valuation metrics look so distorted. If we look at their price-to-sales trailing 12-month ratio, it sits at an astronomical 4,620.11.
Over $4,600 paid by investors for every single dollar of sales this company makes.
It's wild.
It circles back to our restaurant analogy, right?
Yeah.
It's like valuing a neighborhood lemonade stand as if it's Coca-Cola, based entirely on a secret recipe they haven't even figured out how to bottle yet.
That's a perfect way to put it.
So, with all of this financial reality checking, what is the market looking forward to? Because clearly they aren't valuing the company on trailing metrics. Let's look at the catalysts.
Right, this is where we shift our focus to the factory floor. The operational catalysts are what's mitigating all this bearish financial sentiment. The company isn't just tinkering in isolation anymore.
They've expanded, right?
Yeah, they have expanded to 5 Stage 3 customer programs.
Let's define what Stage 3 means here for you listening, because it's crucial. This isn't theoretical modeling anymore.
No, Stage 3 implies late-stage engagement. Potential clients, which are likely massive tech or telecom companies, are actively taking Lightwave's materials and testing them inside their own proprietary systems.
So they are validating whether the technology actually works outside the pristine conditions of Lightwave's own lab.
Exactly. But the ultimate make-or-break moments, the catalysts that will define the next year of this stock, are the physical deliveries. We're looking at 2 critical, imminent catalysts.
And those are the foundry wafer deliveries, right?
Yes. Yeah. They're expecting 2 sets of foundry wafer deliveries in August 2026, and a 3rd program delivery expected in the 4th quarter of 2026.
So a foundry wafer delivery. This is basically the transition from artisanal science to mass manufacturing.
Precisely.
I mean, it's one thing for brilliant scientists to painstakingly craft a flawless polymer chip by hand over 6 months. It's an entirely different beast to hand that recipe over to a commercial foundry and say, print 10,000 of these flawlessly on a standard silicon wafer.
The foundry delivers prove scalability. They are the only things that validate that massive 4,600 valuation multiple. If the foundry can successfully integrate these polymers onto standard silicon wafers, it proves the technology can be seamlessly adopted into the existing global supply chain.
So this is the major choke point. The market is just holding its breath for August and Q4.
Definitely. Confirmation of these deliveries must trigger a revenue inflection. The market has tolerated this base of roughly $30,000 per quarter because they know it's just testing revenue.
But that patience won't last forever.
No. If those foundry deliveries are successful, those 5 Stage 3 programs need to convert into actual multi-million-dollar commercial contracts.
Okay, so knowing those catalysts are looming, let's pivot to the technicals. How is the market actually trading this stock right now? Because the chart looks like it's inducing absolute vertigo.
It really is. If you're looking at your portfolio, Lightwave logic is putting you through the ringer. A snapshot from August 14, 2026 shows the stock price at $7.57.
But the true story is in that 52-week range, isn't it?
Oh, it's a study in extremes. Over the last year, the stock bottomed out at a 52-week low of $1.99, and it's skyrocketed to a high of $18.70.
That is just parabolic volatility. Think about the psychology of holding that. It's up 237.5% over the last 52 weeks.
Yeah, if you bought near $2, you feel like an absolute genius.
But if you bought into the hype at the top, you are reeling. The stock plummeted 54.24% in just the last 13 weeks. Half its value just wiped out in a single quarter.
It's the definition of a speculative roller coaster. If we look at the moving averages to gauge momentum, currently, it's trading above its 20-day simple moving average of $6.89.
And it's holding above the long-term 200-day average of $7.13, right?
Yes, but it is trapped below its 50-day average of $7.85. That combination tells us the very long-term foundational support is holding, but the medium-term trend has been deeply bearish.
But what about the RSI? The data mentions a relative strength index of 60.42.
An RSI of around 60 is relatively neutral, maybe leaning just slightly bullish. It tells us the stock hasn't reached overbought territory yet, which typically happens when it pushes past 70.
Right.
But the most revealing metric for assessing the danger level here is the beta, which sits at 2.47.
A beta of nearly 2.5. This thing is a rocket ship strapped to a roller coaster. The market sneezes, Lightwave catches pneumonia. It is violently sensitive to broader market conditions.
Extreme valuation sensitivity is the hallmark of a pre-revenue tech stock. Third-party risk models give it a financial distress rating of 54 out of 100, which places it firmly in the danger zone if macro conditions tighten.
Which naturally leads us to market sentiment. With a 54% plunge recently, are investors finally throwing in the towel?
I'd say the plunge suggests the market blew the froth off the top after seeing the disappointing Q2 revenue and widening net losses.
The reality check kicked in.
Exactly. But the fact that it still trades at $7.57 proves the core belief hasn't evaporated. The market still overwhelmingly expects future commercial success. They are just demanding proof before pushing it back to $18.
Okay, so that brings us to the bear case and the major risks. And really, it all comes down to the balance sheet and the runway, doesn't it?
It does. You can't run a negative 8,000% net margin forever. But despite the massive cash burn, their foundational health is surprisingly robust. They hold absolutely zero debt.
Zero debt. That is wild. Usually, pre-revenue tech companies are just buried under toxic high-interest loans.
Not here. Their total liabilities are just $3.856 million. Contrast that with total assets of $108.079 million.
Leaving them with stockholders' equity of over $104 million. That is a massive operational buffer.
It is. The lifeblood of this phase is pure cash. As of June 30, 2026, their cash and cash equivalents stand at $47.209 million.
But we cannot ignore the trajectory of that cash pile. In December 2025, just 6 months prior, they had roughly $69 million.
Yeah, they watched almost $22 million evaporate in half a year.
So if we run the math on their runway, taking that $47 million and applying their accelerating burn rate, they have roughly 2 years before they hit a wall.
The 2-year clock. If they don't reach commercial scale and start generating significant revenue in 24 months, they will be forced to dilute their shares to survive.
They'll have to go back to the market, issue more stock, and punish the early believers. So what happens if those August and Q4 deliveries get delayed by, say, 6 or 9 months?
The history of the materials sector is unforgiving. A delay like that would be severely punished. The cash burn would continue, the runway shrinks, and panic sets in, accelerating that timeline for forced dilution.
Right. So to wrap this all up, what is the final verdict on Lightwave logic?
Based on the aggregated data and risk models, the consensus rating lands at a 4 out of 10, which translates to a firm neutral stance. It is the absolute quintessential high-risk, high-reward materials play.
We aren't telling you to buy, sell, or hold here, but the extremes are just spectacular.
They really are. The long-term view really hinges on watching those August and Q4 foundry wafer deliveries like a hawk. They need to leave the factory enter the client's systems, and result in real dollars on the income statement.
Because no matter how revolutionary the tech is, you can only burn millions on the world's most advanced research lab for so long before the bank account hits zero.
The transition from brilliant concept to profitable enterprise is a graveyard for many material science companies.
Which leaves us with a broader, lingering thought to mull over today. If electro-optic polymers truly become the new standard, if they are the only viable way to keep our AI data centers from overheating, companies like Lightwave are sitting on a gold mine.
Definitely.
But what happens to the broader tech ecosystem if these pre-revenue innovators run out of cash and fold before the rest of the world's infrastructure is ready to adopt their technology?
It highlights a massive vulnerability in how we fund innovation. The huge data center companies rely on these small, cash-burning scientists to solve their physics problems. But the financial markets aren't always patient enough to see the physics realized.
It's a terrifying gap. You can invent the perfect engine for the future, but if you run out of fuel before the highway is built, you still end up stranded. Keep your eyes on those delivery dates. Thank you for joining us today. Remember to subscribe, like, and comment underneath, and don't forget to check out the special 14-day trial link below in the description for StockOracle to explore AI-aided insights for yourself.
See you next time.